Broad Street Review podcast is an extension of Broad Street Review, Philly's home for arts, culture, and conversation, an online arts and culture journal covering the greater Philadelphia area. I'm your host, Darnell Radford.
Today on the podcast, TS Hawkins, Sabriaya Shipley, and Josh Hitchens talk about In Their Silence, part of this year's festival, on stage at Allen's Lane Art Center. Here is my interview for In Their Silence by TS Hawkins.
And welcome to the podcast. I'm your host, Darnell Radford, and today I'm in the virtual studio with members of the production team for In Their Silence, a new piece coming to the Fringe Arts Festival by TS Hawkins, directed by Reva Stover. Did I say that right? Okay, just want to make sure. Okay, great. At Allen's Lane Art Center. And we will take a moment to do introductions, starting with TS.
Oh, you said Josh first. It's okay.
I know.
It's okay. Hello,
the order
everyone.
rotate. Sorry.
Hello, everyone. My name is TS Hawkins. My pronouns are they, them, theirs, and I am the playwright for In Their Silence. Should I pass it, or you gonna do a thing?
We can go right in order with Sabriaya.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sabriaya Shipley. My pronouns are she, they, and I am playing the role of Grace in Their Silence.
And hi, everybody. My name is Josh Hitchens. My pronouns are he, him, and I am the theater artistic director at Allen's Lane Art Center.
So, welcome everybody to the podcast.
Hello.
So great to have you all with us today. So let's catch up. TS, tell us what you've been up to this journey that brought In Their Silence to Allen's Lane.
Sure, sorry, you were broke up a little bit. Was that for me, Darna?
I was from TS.
Sorry. It's a fair question. It's a fair question. It could be for both of us.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Everybody chime in, all at once, only.
All together now. Okay. So, In Their Silence, the beautiful part about In Their Silence actually started in 2015 under the title They'll Neglect to Tell You, which was a poem that I had started to curate while I was an undergrad at Temple University under the amazing guidance of the one, the only, Dr. Kamika Witherspoon, living legend. And so that poem I did in undergrad, but then tried to finesse it, make it a little bit more sexy, a little bit more poety, if you will, in 2015 when I was in residency at the Painted Bride for the Souls of Black Folk project. And there I turned it into this poetic vignette, which is really just about taking the poetry and really enhancing it with storytelling, making sure it had a clear beginning, middle, and end for performance, which in Temple we call poetry as performance. And then from there, it just kind of sat baking in the brain until I got a residency with 1812 Productions, which was really cool. The Julian Ringgold residency, which is where you manifest, create a solo show in progress. So I was like, I got a vignette. I can make it into a thing. So I made it into a thing under the help and the guidance then. I was in partnership with Lois Moses Esquire, soon to be Doctor, which is amazing. I'm going to love calling her Dr. Esquire at the end of the year. So we did that residency together. It was a 3-week residency with performance. And from there, more voices started to formulate and percolate and come out of the space. So from that residency, I had a couple readings because we got hit with the pandemic. So a lot of stuff was happening virtually, just trying to make sure that I'm, even though the world was shut down, that the arts were still blooming and flourishing. And then from there, because of those other readings, I got picked up to be part of Theater Exile Studio Exhibition, new play development. And then from there, the one voice became two voices, became three voices, and they'll neglect to tell you, became In Their Silence, this wonderful poetic journey that audiences are going to go through. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for that. And then there's this Josh. Josh can talk about it from his standpoint of all the pimping in the world that I was doing to get this work on its feet. So I will yeet it to Josh.
Sure, yeah. So at Allens Lane Arts Center, we put out a call every year for directors and playwrights to submit work for consideration for the following season. And then I, along with a small group of other folks, read all the plays and talk through them and discuss what's the best for the theater. And when this particular play came in, this was the one play where I was like, we're doing this. Like we can talk about it, but we're doing this. It is such an incredible piece of work in the beauty of its poetry and the truthfulness of its storytelling about Philadelphia, and that it ties in so much to what Allens Lane Art Center is about as an organization, which, especially its theater, is devoted to telling stories that reflect the community of Northwest Philadelphia. And it is my duty as the theater artistic director over the past 2 years I've been doing it to really bring those stories to the fore and to provide a platform and support for amazing artists like TS and Reva and Sabriaya and all the other folks involved to do their best work. And it is an amazing privilege to watch this piece being born in the room.
Oh, they are working. Okay. These leads, they is sweating some lines. They is working. For sure.
That's great. All very exciting. And Sabriaya, tell us how you got involved in Their Silence.
Yeah. So I had met TS in my undergrad career at Temple University. I was also mentored, still mentored by Dr. Kamika Williams Witherspoon, and was inspired by TS's work early on, as I also am a poet and a playwright myself, and so was really like caught in this wonderful array of TS's talent. And upon graduation, TS invited me to be a part of a festival that they were having a reading of another piece that I really is slipping my head right now, but was a good piece, and also really kind of like hit off that notion of the choreo poem process for me as well, having my thesis been a choreo poem, so I was really excited to delve more into that. Fast forward through the pandemic, staying in touch with TS and just being mutual fans and loves of each other. Once upon a time, TS was like, I'm going to get you to do one of my plays again. And I was like, I don't know about that, but I said, we'll see. But actually, I applied to Allens Lane's fellowship first, and then learned that TS was doing a play there. So I was like, I might as well, let me show up a little bit. So sent in a call, and was called back, came in, and was really there to hold space and to, show up for a family, and say, hey, I'm here to lend my voice and lend my energy to the space in the audition room. And TS was like, thank you so much for coming. And I got to sing and do all those lovely things. And got the call that And I was like, Grace, I think that next day. So I was like, sure, let's do this. And so ever since it's been a journey to connect with Grace. As I would say, Grace was not my first choice in roles at all, but really delving into her complexities and her as a three-dimensional character has been really great. It's a great process so far.
That's great. So we talked about the journey that brought it here, but what originally inspired this piece? What was going on in the world that called this piece to the forefront?
At the time when I started constructing like the poem, the really big monologue that serves the big monologue for Merci in the work, that poem, I was in the center of all of my feelings and trying to unpack what does it mean, like what does gentrification mean? What does it like? Am I aiding and abetting in that process? Am I speaking out for the community? Am I part of the community? Like in earnest, like, yeah, I live in North Philly. At the time I lived in North Philly. But am I like a resident or am I a community member, right? Because those are the things. And just watching the neighborhood shift around me and like shift to the needs of like the new people and like the new money, and literally push out the community that made the community for the sake of, redevelopment, because that's the new word, right? Redevelopment. And just sitting in the middle of that, I was stuck. I was heartbroken. I was pissed off, for lack of better words. And so what I had at my disposal was the arsenal that I was taught to use, which is my words. And it was actually the poem was actually something I also sent to the Alumni Association at my university, because I was feeling some type of way about what they were doing. Like, we're just going to build a stadium right here in the middle, and we're just going to take away all these homes, and we're going to redo this and redo that, like literally erasing the bodies that have been calling that space home for so long, the indigenous energy, for the sake of implants, capitalistic dollars, developers, which is not a good look. So the piece Don't Neglect to Tell You really centers on that rage, that passion, that hurt, and that what can I do, and why are we doing this energy. So that's really how it started with that piece. And then, I crafted a story around it. So the funny part is I actually wrote this play kind of backwards, I guess, whatever. Artists, right? Usually some people, they have an idea from beginning, middle, and end. I did not for this work. It started with that piece, and I wrote the end of the play first and the beginning of the play last. Like the middle of the piece was already constructed. So yes, so that's how it got here. And it's quintessential. We talk about Philadelphia as a place of like brotherly love and sisterly compassion, and like those things are true. Those are absolutely true. That is the umbrella truth. But if we get down to the machinations on how like we live and walk through the world, like when we say things like, Philadelphia is a city of neighborhoods, like some people think that like that's an uplifting statement, when really it's just redlining dressed up in sexy language, right? It's like, oh, we keep a certain group of people here and a certain group of people there. Like there are people who haven't left 6 blocks off their stoop because it's the notion that they can't travel to other places in the city because it doesn't belong to them. It's not for them, right? So it's getting a real look onto how we are actually treating, our city, of neighborhoods, our brotherly compassion and sisterly love, right? So that's at the crux of it. And Grace and Merci get dumped right into the middle of it. And so they're trying to, work through, what is safety and what is heart and home.
Yeah. So Sabriya, tell us, who is Grace?
That's a good question. I think that's the question I'm still answering. I think one thing that I do wrestle with Grace is her level of femininity. As I am a non-binary individual in my actual life, and tend to want to stray away from ultra feminine characters in a way, because of not only some certain times like a trauma, but also certain times of assumptions of mammy and things that I've dealt with in the past upon playing roles. But what I do love about the opportunity to play Grace is the opportunity to explore my version of femininity and what that means. But also I think it's really difficult to say, like, with Grace, and sometimes I feel as though Grace is a supporting character to the journey and the healing of Merci. And when I say that, I mean like a supporting character in the way as though sometimes in our lives when we are in relationships and we are sharing love, there are times when we operate as a supporting role and a character to our spouse or our partner's journey, right? As they navigate this, because I really think that Merci does a lot of the navigation of these things, these justification of things, and Grace does a lot of internal navigation that I think is waiting to fully express herself, but doesn't necessarily need to, because Grace is a therapist and Grace takes that time to deal with her things in a way that is direct and communicative. So it becomes a really like interesting character to play, because you want this character to not necessarily come off as not caring towards these social justice issues that are popping up in the play, but also wanting to capture the fact this character acknowledges that there are social justice issues happening, but we don't necessarily have to have our whole lives be enveloped by them, right? And so that's a difficult kind of thing to play. But also just, with Grace, I think I value her outlook on life. I do value it. I also think that I just wish she had a layer of even more complexity to her. And I think she has a lot of complex issues that come up, without doing spoiler alerts. But I do think it's been a journey for as an actor to kind of like delve into how Grace's story supports the arc of the show.
I wish the listeners could see TS respond to this commentary.
Yes.
It's beautiful. Even though like Sabriya was like, this is not the role I wanted. Sabriya is doing literal magical work in the character of Grace. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that, because I'm not on your payroll. But what I'm saying is, like, there's a fierce tenderness about Grace that could easily be swept under the rug into a stereotype. And she's not written as a stereotype. Grace is not written as a stereotype, right? So, like, when we're thinking about, like, supportive, it's like, yes, support, but, like, she has that fierce tenderness, right? And you bring that up. It's one of those, like, there's a time and place for everything, and I'm eating my sandwich, love. Like, simmer that down. I'm just eating my sandwich. It's Tuesday, and so like I hear you, but if you can give me just 45 good minutes, you know what I mean? Like there is a fierce tenderness about Grace that you have found a way to ebb and flow through the easy and the more complicated moments. So this is a three-hander, my dear. Like, ain't no lead. This is ensemble work, okay?
No. Yes, I think we have to shift our narrative. I think I never run away as an actor or as a person from identifying not the power structures in the room, but the dynamics in the room. And to say, when I say supporting character, I mean in the most kind of like authentic way, to recognize on stage when you are supporting or underbellying this scene rather than leading this scene, if that makes sense, you know? I think something that, like, it goes unnoticed is, like, I had a talk today or interview today that talked about, the interviewee said something along the lines of, you know, do you feel as though it's, you know, everything is all on you to do this position, this job? And also, do you also feel that, you know, you're the lead? And I said, I don't. I said, I don't play with dynamics like that. I acknowledge them, right? Because acknowledging them and identifying what type and what the balance is in the room brings even more complexity. I've always been the late Lee Richardson used to call me a very intelligently fierce. And so, and he used to say that around the time that I was playing Lady in Brown in Temple Theater's production of For Color Girls, that I tend to take ownership of the stage even if I have one line on the stage, and it's not in a way that is like, I got this one line, I'm gonna do it up. It's I'm going to play what I need to play in this role and bring the intention to it. So when I say supporting, I'm like, Grace is supporting this arc that Merci is on, because it really, that's the truth. Like, listen, Merci be talking, runs at the mouth, and Grace just be like, every so often, let me say something here, you know what I'm saying? But also allowing that to be, if that's a story, that's a story. You know what I'm saying? Like, we think about August Wilson's productions. One of the critiques that we hear oftentimes is of August Wilson and the way that he writes women, and especially Black women in space. And one of the things that I love about Fences is that monologue to Troy, like, I've been standing here with you, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's that character is supporting. You know what I'm saying? That's a supporting character. But that you know, even Viola with the ugly cry knows that I'm not. I play my part in this scene, and I'm not a lead. This is, you know what I'm saying? I might be the last McCall sheet. You know what I'm saying? But I'm going to do what I got to do. That's what I mean by supporting. I don't necessarily think that I'm putting any less work than anyone else.
Because you don't. Because you don't. You never do.
Never.
You never do. Yes.
I just want to say, Viola Davis in Fences, like, that was a choice.
Mm-hmm.
And it stayed in. And I love that. It's such a raw, emotional moment. And I live for those in theater, in any kind of storytelling. Those moments where you're just like, wow. I would love to know how that moment solidified itself in the process. You know, it may not have been on the page in this exact way, but somewhere in this process, it was like, that. We're keeping it. We're leaving it there.
Yeah.
So tell me about, take us into the room. Tell us about the process, because I know that you know, in our theater, you know, 4 people can cut up in that space. So 3 people can definitely do that as well. So tell us what it's like to be in the room of In Their Silence.
First of all, shout out to Reva. Reva has a very beautiful, collaborative yet stern directing style. Are those words? Okay. Yes. Those are words individually. Yes. And in the sentence, they made sense. Good. There we go. It's a very stern, collaborative energy, and it's beautiful. Like, when they open up the space and be like, you know what, I have an idea in my mind, but you know what, I'm gonna let you play first, right? That is just beyond. I was like, okay, let me see what they do. And even, you know, the actors are just like, well, I feel like, and can I? You know, and then they look to Reva, and then Reva looks at me. I was like, well, let them play with it a little bit more. Let me see. You know, one of those things. So it's beautiful how Reva is able to helm the room, to hold the room, and make space for the voices and bodies that are there. And then, of course, you have Sabriya, who is playing Grace. Sabriya Shipley, last name, playing Grace. We also have Jaylyn Anderson, who is playing the role of Merci, and Jameka Wilson, who is playing the role of the city. So watching those two characters, understanding there's been other actors who have played those roles. So you know how the playwright's brain gets fixated on how they sound and how it moves a little bit. It's been such a wonder and such a journey watching them literally just play with each other to make the words, sing and dance. And we love having Josh there. Josh can speak on this too, because Josh be like, there's part of me that believes, Josh ain't all the way alabaster. Like something in Josh a little bit different, because Josh be sounding like my granddana, bless her soul. Like on certain moments, I know that's right. And I'd be like, who is this? So, Josh, you gonna talk about your experience in the room watching them
just
work?
Patting.
Yeah, I mean, it's been an extraordinary experience so far. It really has. And echoing what TS said about just the environment the creative environment that Reva calls into being in the room. It is one of the warmest and bravest rehearsal rooms I think I've been in quite some time. I'm stage managing as well, so my eyes are glued to the text a lot of the time, but while the actors are working. But there are just so many moments that make me cry and Reva cry and just roar with laughter, and things that are said in this text by these characters that you're just like, yes, the world needs to hear this. It's really, really amazing. And like TS was talking about earlier with the genesis of the play, one of the things I love about it is that the play is also about a love story and the different processes that Grace and Merci go through, but it's also in a way a biography of the city of Philadelphia itself, and holding up a mirror to what Philadelphia is, as TS said, with that idea of gentrification and how different neighborhoods are changing and how people are being displaced, and very often that is overlooked or glossed over. And this play really makes you look and no. Really look at this. Really sit with this. Think about what is this city? What is your place in this city? What are you doing to make it better for the people who live here and have lived here? It's a beautiful and wrenching at times love story, but it's also a real mirror up to Philadelphia, and I think that is so vital and important.
TS, are there moments in the piece that are a challenge for you to experience live?
Yeah, I mean,
are there moments that are like you wrote it, but now having it through other voices, do they make you feel? Are there moments in the piece that make you feel vulnerable?
Oh yeah, there's a whole scene. There's a whole scene that's literally, it was just like cut and paste. It's like cut and paste. So to hear it coming out of the mouths of humans that I've grown to love and adore, and I was like, y'all don't even know where this scene comes from, and I feel like y'all have heard it before, and it's making me feel some type of way. So, you know what I mean? So some of it is a challenge, because it's like, ooh, that's replaying something, that I've already fixed in therapy. But it's beautiful to see it manifest in their voices and their bodies, and the truth that they bring to those moments, and what that truth means for those particular characters in those moments. But yeah, when I say like they're working wonders, like if you thought Shakespeare was hard, ha, good luck to you. Like you should work on my work first and then go to Shakespeare, because then that feels like light work. I mean, it feels like light work, you know, because once you get the pentameter, you can tell the story. Like, but for this one, it's a lot of dramaturgy. It's a lot of emotional and physical excavation of text, body, mind, and soul. So yeah.
If there is one, can you talk about a darling that you had to kill in order to move the story forward?
Oh yeah, there was about a good 4 poems that I took out and replaced them with 4 smaller vignettes to get to the point. And that's the beautiful part of editing. But that was really a skill that I learned from my mentor, Dr. Kamika Williams Witherspoon. When she's teaching us how to write, cinquains, which I still hate to this day, and haikus. Like that, like the haiku is the basic form of editing. It's like you have this amount of space to work with. What's your point? So some of the longer pieces, that Merci should be thankful that no longer exists, were taken completely out and replaced with shorter cinquains, haiku snippets that are also shared with grace. So yes, there were some babies that had to die. Baby Sabriya, my love, is there a moment in the play that challenges you? And is there a moment in the play that comforts you?
That's a good question. I think the whole play challenges me. I think the whole play comforts me. I think that to be frank, I think the exploration of poetry in the frame of exploring queer love is something that is not only tender, but is very radically scary in a way. And so I think one of the things that I brought up in my own personal work on the script with Jaylyn, as we, talk and try to develop a relationship, is the notion of the way in which intimacy on stage is staged and encouraged, and the use of words and things like that. I think when we're talking about describing sexual actions, right, and intents, I think that is something that can be challenging to an actor who hasn't explored their own personal traumas surrounding intimacy. And also when it comes to body and adjustment, right? And so how comfortable are you with your body and using your body to tell the story in that way? I think that's one of the things I've always had a challenge with, not necessarily doing, but in confronting that with a partner and a scene partner, and what does that look like, right? So I think that, yeah.
And just like another love nugget, like when I say like this cast is earnest and kind, transparent and truthful, beautiful, because with you don't get that with every cast. You know what I mean? You know how they do that triangle, that you can have it, what's it, quick, cheap,
fast, cheap, and good.
Yeah. And you can never have like all 3. It's either 2 of the 3, but it's like the luck of the draw, like how they operate with each other, how they communicate with each other, how they make space for one another. Like, this is how theater spaces and just within the industry period should be. And these talented actors bring that into the space, and they should be paid to model it for everybody else in the world.
That's great. Some high praise there. What I guess I'll put this to all of you. What did you learn in the process that you did not know before rehearsals began?
That Josh is doing everything.
It's my job and my joy to do so.
Yes. Josh, you're also stage manager, sound designer, and costume manager.
Yes.
I do think that they need a special theater hat that has many brims that we can all wear. It would just walk around with this crazy looking hat. You must be in theater.
Yeah.
For all the hats you wear. Well, since we are on Josh, tell us: is there anything else about Allen's Lane Art Center that we should know about?
Sure. So something that's going on before In Their Silence opens on September 9th, we're having the Mount Airy Arts Festival at Allen's Lane Art Center. It's going to be outside, but it is businesses and artists of all kinds, performers all coming together at Allen's Lane to celebrate the artistic community of Northwest Philadelphia. It's going to be a day-long event. It's going to be a lot of fun. And I'm really excited for the theater season that we have at Allen's Lane, in particular, our Readers Theater season. There are 3 terrific new plays that we have. One is Black is the New Black by Cherise Salters, Black Roses in the Garden by Camille James, and Even Paradise by Megan Edelman. I'm really excited for all of those, and our main stage shows as well. But I couldn't ask for a more powerful and wonderful first show of the season than this play. I think everybody should come see it.
I agree. I concur.
and this might be I guess like a loaded question, because we are at the it's hard to say whether we're at the end of this or we're sort of on the come down of what compromised us in 2020. That would say, would you say that Allen's Lane is thriving?
I honestly, 100% truthfully, yes, I think so. When I've been associated with Allen's Lane for a long time. I directed my first show there in 2011, and then became the theater artistic director in 2021, 2 years ago. And Allen's Lane did manage to keep going through the lockdown period of the pandemic. We did an entire theater season virtually, as many theater companies did, to keep the art alive and going and keep people's spirits filled with the art. But I feel like in the 2 years that I've been there, I've really seen this organization begin to grow and thrive in a way I think that it hadn't for quite some time. There is a joy and activity and a giving space all throughout that building that is really encouraging, and that I am very proud and honored to be part of.
That's great. It's good to hear, because we get a lot of news. We get a lot of news that begs to differ, and we're still in this going like, I'm right here while you're talking about how tough things are. Like, I know things are tough, but we are a resilient community. Mm-hmm. We've always been. That and doesn't mean we can't use a little help. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. What do you hope an audience will take away from this experience, from In Their Silence? I guess I'll particularly TS, but to everyone. What do you all hope an audience will take away from this experience?
Like loaded question. I would. I know this is a hard question only because I asked the same question to Reva. And Reva brought up a great point, is like it is very hard to control what the audience is going to walk away with. And that is a nugget of information that I have been holding in my spirit for some days now. Because as a playwright, you're asked, when you're developing your characters, like, what's their question, and it's mostly so that you can have an answer that the audience can walk away with. The way this work is constructed, I think there's literally 1,000 different ways the audience can leave inspired, enraged, hopeful, blessed, seen, excited. There's just so many avenues, depending on what resonates with them or what they want to pluck and save for later. So any answer that I did have when I was constructing this piece under the model in which we create theater based on our training, was literally thrown out the window when Reva said, I am not in control on what the audience can walk away with. And the beautiful part is that this piece encompasses so many things, because even though it's an ending to the work, it can literally, it's the conversation after they have seen the work, which is the true play. Is that kind of right, Sabriya, Josh?
Yeah, I think I always stray away from that question of what the audience can take away, just because in reality, I think the complexities of human perception is something that we have not yet mastered. And I think we go to theater to learn a new way to communicate, to learn a new way to live on stage. We see these stories come to life, and it's like, oh, I want to be like that. I think of a great story to tell is when I was 7, I went to see The Lion King in Baltimore, Maryland, and while everyone during Rafiki Lawrence was like, yeah, this is deep, yeah, 7-year-old Sabriya was weeping, and I looked to my mom was like, Sabriya, what is wrong with you? And it's caveat, I have like 4 different kind of cries. Tell you how emotional I am. But there's one cry was like my alternative, like barrel and cry. And I looked at her and I said, Mommy, I feel it so much. And that was the start of loving the stage and loving watching people on stage. And I think that happens a lot. I think that because I'm an educator and I see children and youth go to see the theater, and each of them has a different perception of what was going on. They'll be like, I think I took a group of my kids to see Once on This Island. They were like, some of them was like, the music was great. It was bumping. Some of them was like, you talk about the music. What about T-Moon? And certain things. And so I love the idea of when people come see the show, they learn a new way to communicate. They also see a new perspective as to how they're communicating in their everyday life, in that moment in their life. So I leave that open. Although, I know that was a great question. I'm not. I started off with very earnest. You're like, I don't like that question, but I do like the question. I just think it's oftentimes we try to answer it so thoroughly, and it's like the more thorough you answer it, the more you box in the possibilities. So yeah.
Good point.
This is my feet.
It's a very good point. I've been asking that question in varied ways for what is this, 15 seasons? And I always love what the answer is, because it's always different,
Yeah.
Because it's not always just, we just want you to have a good time and come on out and blah blah blah. It's not that, but it's like actually answers like that open the door for more people. Then, like you said, then being very specific. I expect the audience to walk away feeling this, and this, because if they don't feel that, then they're going to be like, fail, but that's not it. I've always said, you can walk through the front door, or there might be a window that's open. There might be other ways to enter into this piece, and you have to be open to that. So that's why, the same thing when people ask me, like, what is the best seat in the theater?
Like, there
isn't
seat?
one.
Your seat is the best seat.
It's like there technically isn't one, because there are so many seats. We did not put a seat in the last row because we knew that was going to be a terrible seat. There is a viewpoint and experience that you can gain from sitting there that you may not get from sitting in the front row, and so you just have to be open to that. And that's also why I think that we should be more open to experiencing what happens on these stages more than once, because sometimes we see a world premiere or something that has a limited run, and we just have a vague idea of what our experience was that night. And sometimes you need to go back and see it again and be like, that one part I didn't quite get, but I feel like if I heard it again, because the artists, all of you in the room, got to hear this over and over again and make sense of it. And so we might be hearing it once and we might miss something for whatever reason. And so I'm a huge fan of every theater company offering like a half price ticket or something, like bring a friend to come see it again, because I love having the conversation about something I just experienced, and my overall viewpoint evolves the more people I talk to about it. And then I feel like I need to be in the room with them, and I would be one of those people who's like looking at them to see if they feel, when I felt in moments of the piece, like.
Oh, this is factual. That's how I felt when I saw Light by Lawyer Webb. I was like, we're going to debate about this, and we're going to see it again to make sure you see that I'm right. But it was there are plays that definitely do that, for sure.
Yes.
Plays, movies, all that. I saw Woman King. And I said to my family, I said, I am getting on a bus tonight so I can go see with y'all tomorrow. And I just wanted to see it with my mother. And that's all it is. Because I was like, I want to see that particular scene. I want to see how my mom reacts. Her reaction wasn't what I thought it was, but it was still very beautiful. But like, those are, everyone reacts differently to things, and I appreciate that notion, that opportunity that we all get. For sure.
And so because we all wear many hats, and this is a backdoor opportunity to talk to Sabriaya about a new hat that they are wearing. Please tell us what you're doing, all of you, what you're doing when you're not working on In Their Silence.
Ooh.
Your name was first.
It's my. When I'm not working in Their Silence, I am teaching youth how to,
burying the lead,
plays and devise their own shows, and then I am working on ethnography to kind of document youth in North Philadelphia through podcasts like this one, and then finally, but definitely not last, because I can get fired for it, but ultimately have stepped into a new chapter to show up for the Philadelphia community in a new role, a new way, as executive director of Theater Philadelphia.
Whoop, whoop.
Yeah. Look how I buried the lead. I just did.
I was tickled. I was like, Sabrina is funny.
I'm an Aquarius. That's what it is.
Keep blaming stuff on being an Aquarius when some stuff is just you.
Because I can. And my Gemini moon. And I'll throw my Gemini moon in there.
All right, Gemini. All right, Gemini.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Do not hype him up. Do not do that.
My favorite people. Do I like you?
No. You gotta keep these Geminis humble. They had a pocket.
Why?
Because I said what I said.
TS, what do you do outside of in there? Please.
When I am, you tried it. When I am not working on this work and at rehearsals with all these magnificent people, I too am still writing more plays. I do workshops with institutions locally and nationally for diversity, equity, and inclusion. Because I don't care what you heard, they may have struck down affirmative action, but y'all still going to get this work, okay?
Period.
Mm-hmm.
Period. I said what I said, and I meant what I said. And then I am the director of education at Theater Exile, wearing all the hats to make sure all of our educational needs are met institutionally and community. So yeah, we are multi-hyphenate people here. And then we heard from Josh. We can hear from Josh again. Josh has a lot of hats, but also does something fun, in the midnight hour because we both don't sleep.
Yeah, Josh, we heard of the hats that you're wearing at Allen's Lane, but what other hats are you wearing when you're not?
Sure. When I'm not at Allen's Lane, I also work at the Ebenezer Maxwell Mansion in Germantown, which is Philadelphia's only Victorian House museum, as a tour guide, and I also am in charge of programming there. I am also a storyteller for the Ghost Tour of Philadelphia, which I have been doing for 16 years and counting now. And I am also in the middle, in what very, very little spare time I have at the moment, working on finishing my third book. I'm almost halfway through it. I've still got a couple months before it's due, so I think I'll be okay. But that's what's occupying my mind and heart right now.
I know that's right. I think we counted that once at rehearsal, right? It's like 10, 11 books between all three of us?
I think, yes.
Yeah. We literary up in here. We literary. We're published. Get into it.
Literally literary.
That's right.
Up in here.
Period.
Awesome. So this production, In Their Silence, is part of the 2023 Philadelphia Fringe Festival, which is September 7th through the 24th. And this production will run just a little bit longer. So there is definitely enough time to experience this work. But for all of you, are there any other productions in the Fringe Festival that you are looking forward to?
There is a production that I've been following on social media by Nikki Powerhouse, The Softest Part of Her. I know that is a one-person show that is going up. I follow all dazzling poets. So I look forward to the opportunity, if possible, because I know we're running literally at the exact same time. So hopefully I can find a nugget of space to go see Nikki Powerhouse's work in the festival this year.
Yeah. I'll go with you, TS, to see that. I love Nikki.
Yay! I'm
yeah. Why don't you treat me to dinner? I'm drinking out.
What about a dinner?
We can go to dinner and then we go to the.
Oh yeah, I said it. Dang, fool.
You see this? How they treat me? Listen, I'm excited for two productions. One I am co-directing with Mia Rocchio Donata at Yes and Collaborative Arts. It is a production fully devised and written by youth in Germantown area. It goes up at Venice Island the 8th and the 9th of September. It's called Mind the Gap, and it is an exploration of mental health and mental illness alongside the consciousnesses that we interact with every day. And then the second one would have to be, I know this is like a little cover of Fringe, but Cannonball is happening, and I sat on the board for the Performers for Young Audiences, and they have some really great lineups for any of our listeners with, definitely like younger kids, middle school, elementary, really like a whole range. Some really great works from puppetry to trash artwork to creating a library in the middle of a park with assistant readings. So I think that's really exciting, and I know that happens both weekends of the Fringe Festival.
Nice. Yeah, and put my artistic director hat on before I answer your question. Just in terms of the run of In Their Silence, the first 2 weeks of our run, beginning on September 15th, tickets are on sale through the Philly Fringe website. But the third weekend of our show is being sold through allenslane.org/theater. So just want to put that out there, just because if you look at the Fringe guide, it looks like we're only doing 2 weekends. We're not. We're doing 3. So you have three weekends of opportunities to see this amazing work. And in terms of a Fringe show that I'm really looking forward to, and I hope I can make, the Hummingbird's Theater Troupe is doing a workshop of a new musical called Wishling that they've created. And I've loved the Hummingbards for a very long time. I've had the opportunity to work with them several times, but if you don't know their work, they are a queer theater troupe that specializes in devised musical theater, and they are just brave and fierce and tell amazing stories, and I'm looking forward to supporting them and hope y'all do too.
Great. I asked that just because I'm trying to fill up my own list here. So
Darnell is like, I need checkpoints. Because I know the Fringe, they said they have over 300 performances this year.
Yeah, I think it's like 308, something like that.
Yeah,
amazing.
Crazy. 304. Yes. So Fringe is going full steam as usual, which is great. It's a sign that art is still very much alive here in our community, and it is great that In Their Silence is a part of the festival. So yes, that information will be in the show notes for how to get tickets during the Fringe and after the Fringe. We'll have both links in there. TS Hawkins, Sabriaya Shipley, Josh Hitchens, thank you so much for taking the time to unpack In Their Silence and to tell us a bit more about Allens Lane Arts Center. Please, if all our listeners, add this to your list of things to do during the Fringe. Make your way out to Allens Lane Arts Center to see this work. Thank you all for taking the time to meet with me today. It was truly a pleasure. And I know I say that every time, but I wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't truly a pleasure.
You're like, thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Want to get involved with Broad Street Review? Head on over to our website at www.broadstreetreview.com and click Get Involved at the top. While you're there, help keep us running and click Donate to find out how. Connect with us on social media, on Facebook and Twitter at BroadST Review. Thank you for helping to keep the conversation going.